ready for brand stories? Get inspired and learn from thought leaders, CEOs, business owners, managers, entrepreneurs, and experts who tell their brand stories and share their first-hand insights. Welcome to BrandsTalk. I'm your host, Brigitte Bakowski. I support entrepreneurs and organizations to become future market leaders by transforming their ambitions and passion into an online brand that radiates beauty, brilliance, and authenticity, attracting the clients and recognition they deserve. Let's get started and dive with me into the world of brands. My guest today is Carolina Bakker. For over a decade, Carolina has run a successful business as a rat race recovery coach. She has developed a unique blend of traditional coaching methods such as Tony Robbins coaching, NLP coaching, business coaching, and spiritual coaching techniques such as Reiki, feminine constellations, Akashic records, everything to support her clients. She comfortably moves beyond the superficial level and gently reaches into the core of the issue, so her clients can show up powerfully and create their dream business from the inside out. Karina's clients seek her out to go on a soul-inspired coaching journey to feel more confident, break through their limiting beliefs, and to live a more authentic, joyful, and happy life. I warmly welcome Carolina Bakker. Welcome to BrandsTalk.
Well, thank you so much. That was a beautiful intro. Lovely.
Yeah. You know what? I can speak from my own experiences. And yeah, this is what you do, especially with so much love and passion. Because I've known you now for, I think, more than a year. And I know this because I'm a client of yours myself,
Yes.
and you are my growth mindset coach. So I'm so happy that you are with me here today. And so that we can share with all the people out there what you do, how you do it, and most importantly, why you do it. And Carolina, you woke up one morning and you realized you were a fantastic player in a rat race, and that success without soul fulfillment is a hollow victory. So how come, why? And then this epiphany you had urged you to do a dramatic turnaround. Tell us, we all want to know your story. And also within that story, we want to know what you consider as a rat race.
Okay. So let's start with that. I can start with the rat race. So, and then the story will unfold. So what I found is in my particular case, my rat race, I was working a wonderful job. It was amazing. I had a great team, nice colleagues, but I was in a pressure cooker. And literally I felt like the world was sitting on my shoulders, and that all the responsibility for basically everything I could think of was with me. And even though people helped me with tasks, I was responsible for a lot, and that made me um, run around like, and I felt that pressure the entire day. So what happened with that was I got into my car at the end of my workday, and I sat in my car crying. Now, of, of mere pressure, of feeling that wasn't good enough, of feeling that on certain meetings, I felt like an imposter. I felt like I don't know enough. I cannot help these people. Um, and I needed to. I needed to lead these people, but I couldn't. In my perception, right? People around me didn't even notice. They didn't notice that I felt all this stress. They didn't notice that I felt all this anxiety, and they didn't even realize, of course, because I tried to hide that as best as I could. They didn't realize that I was in so much self doubt, and that every time I stepped into a meeting, I felt like I was stepping in there with a certain title and that I didn't deserve that title. And so all that was, it's happened every day. And so at the end of my day, I was exhausted. And I went home. Usually what I did when I got home, I took, I still had to cook my dinner, which I didn't do. So I got takeout, which made my life a lot less healthy. Um, I uh, fleetingly talked to my parents or my friends, and then I went to bed exhausted. Next day, all the rent, everything started all over again. So I got out of bed already with lead in my shoes. I just had the alarm clock at 7 in the morning. And when that alarm goes off and you're still in that dream and you really can feel that your body needs more sleep, needs more rest. But it wasn't the physical sleep that it needed because I slept my 8, 9 hours a night. It was the mental stress that caused my body to feel exhausted. And I went back into the office, led in my shoes, standing in traffic, trying to rush through it because for whatever reason, I always felt like I was 5 minutes late. I never
Mm.
was, but that was like my entire system felt like I was 5 minutes late. So I rushed through traffic, ran up the staircase of my office, sat at my desk 10 minutes earlier than I was supposed to, and I still felt that I was too late. That rat race, that's for me was the rat race. And I felt
Mhm.
like that day in, day out, day in, day out. Even my weekends, I had to do stuff. So I got up, I needed to do my groceries, I needed to do this, I needed to do that. And so even on the time that I was supposed to wind down, I was still in a rat race.
Mhm.
So that's how
Yes.
Bakker started. So,
Yeah, and I think a lot of listeners can relate to that. And now we would love to know how you got out of that.
well, I guess that at some point I reached this level of enough is enough. I cannot, if I don't stop, if I don't stop now, I'm going to end up in a burnout. And
Mm.
the stress was too much. And so I started looking around. One, I just woke up with a realization one morning like, okay, is this truly the person I want to go and step into the future with? Is this how I see myself 3 years from now, or even a year from now? Can I handle this for another year? Never. I wouldn't have been able to. So that was a really big realization, just looking 1 year into my future and realizing that if I would continue like this, I would be a mess. They would have to scrape me off the floor. That was it. And so that's one. Um, and that awareness, that might seem something small, but that awareness was basically what got everything started and what got the ball
Mhm.
rolling. So I started looking for resources. How can I get out of this stress and how can I get out of this anxiety and this constant self doubt? And I started to learn about mindset and about how our thoughts generate our emotions and our physical state. And I started training with Tony Robbins. And so all that, and I slowly started moving out of the rat race little by little. I got myself a coach. Um, that I'm still in contact with, and every once in a while I do coaching sessions with him. Um, and I got myself a coach, and I was very aware that a therapist would not be able to help me. I'm a person that loves to grow, that loves to strive. I don't want to talk about my past. I don't want to talk about how I got from 15 years ago to this point where I'm now so stressed. What I wanted to do was look at what are my goals for the future. And if this is not the way I want to wake up a year from now, then how do I want to wake up a year from now and how am I going to get there? So I got myself a coach and we started working on this path saying, okay, first 1 year out, and now let's work on 5 year out, and now let's work on 10 years out. And so slowly, but very, very consciously, I started working on getting myself out of that rat race. Um, there's a couple of quick wins, of course, that I implemented so that immediately I got in a quieter state of mind and I didn't feel that constant tension in my body anymore. And after that, I started building that awareness.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Carolina. And so you are an expert on mindset, especially on growth mindset, how to get out of this rat race. And you are also a business owner, an entrepreneur, a solopreneur. And as a solopreneur, you need a personal brand. And I think we agreed to that, that everyone needs to have a personal brand. So I would love to know, I would love you to share your perspective on personal branding or building a personal brand and why it is crucial for everybody, regardless of their profession, background, industry, whatever.
Okay, so yeah, maybe a little bit odd in that, but I think you already have a personal brand. You, me, everybody.
Everyone.
From the moment that we are born, we start to build a personal brand, and a lot
Yeah.
of people don't recognize it. But people call it, for example, a reputation,
Mhm.
uh, or they call it, well, people know me for. Well, that's
Mhm.
a personal brand, I believe,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so it's tied to your identity, and it's something that if you don't develop it by yourself, other people will develop it for you.
Exactly. Yeah. They will define you, whether you like it or not.
Exactly, and and even um, there's a possibility that instead of you building your brand based on your identity, that other people build that brand for you, your reputation, and that you start living that reputation
Mm.
and that you start adjusting your identity to what other people say you are. I mean, everybody has had, in especially let's say in high school, we all had a certain reputation. Oh, she's the quiet kid. Oh, that's the weird one. That's the popular kid, right? So we all had that, and there has been a lot of research done about this. That the way we talk to children and that, of course, goes on into adult life, even though we have more control of it. And we're not as perceptive to other people's opinions. It's still, things still come in, right? What people say to us still enters our brain and enters our system, and we can still feel bad about it, right?
Mm.
Even if we're adults. And so, but as children, we're very perceptible. And if teachers treat us as smart kids, we actually become better skilled in what the teacher wants us to do. So children that are taught that they cannot do math, they become horrible in math. And even if maybe they had a wonderful, if you would just put it in a different perspective, they would be fantastically, uh, they would be great in math. By treating them and by telling them that they are not good at math, they automatically don't are not good in math. So they adjust their identity to the expectation that the outside world has of them.
And oh, wow. Yeah. So, how can we as individuals take control? Because we need to turn that around.
But we do need to turn that around. For taking control is exactly that. Um, taking first, I think every step that we do starts with awareness, and seeing the story as it is. And with that, I want to say, so we have all these stories that we tell about ourselves,
Mhm.
that we let other people tell us, and um, seeing things as it is, and not better or worse than it is is step one. Just creating awareness around what is true.
Does this also mean that we are accepting it if we see it as it is? Does it imply accepting the situation how it is right now?
I don't think it's necessarily accepting it already.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think it's just if you can see things. Let's see. Let's say I have this. Let's give an example.
Mm.
I recently flooded my house. I'm for people that know me a little bit closer, better than the people that are watching. Probably they know that on my weekends I walk around like a construction worker. I fix things in my house. I paint things. I'm doing stuff with my hands because I need to rest my brain. So I'm in one of those construction work things. I chipped the pipe, and that thing started leaking water and more water and more water. Now, of course, and it was during the night. So the next morning, I came down. My entire floor, wooden floor, covered in water, and well, it's ruined. Um,
Oh my
so,
God.
how can you see that? What can you see in that? What stories can you make of it? So, I, of course, came down, and the very first thing is, I am such an idiot. Why can't I do anything right? And even as a mindset coach, I first start generating that thought. Everybody starts generating those thoughts. Even Tony Robbins generates those thoughts. But the speed with which you catch yourself saying that to yourself, that's where your progress is. So I start saying these things to myself, and I immediately think, wait, what am I allowing my brain to do to me? I'm not accepting that. So I got no, I'm not going to think it. I'm not just because I made one mistake in, of, I don't know, a year of construction work, basically. That doesn't make me automatically make me an idiot. It just makes me a person that chipped the pipe. And that's the situation. So I could have made that I chipped a pipe. I could that have made that into a big story and made it a lot worse than it is. I also could have looked at the water and said, "Oh, the floor is ruined, and the neighbors downstairs probably have water in their kitchen. And oh, what am I going to do?" Well, in fact, in reality, the only thing that I was sure of at that particular moment is I chipped a pipe, water came out, and my floor is wet.
Mhm, mhm.
That's the reality. So
Got it.
oh, it's accepting wasn't in that yet. I must
Mhm,
say very honestly, because of course I was still a little bit angry with myself. Um, but those feelings are allowed to be there. That's also reality. The reality is I'm a little bit angry with myself because of this.
mhm,
And that's it. That's the reality. And everything we make of it afterwards, you know, that's something that you can control. Now that's the same thing with it's so going I'll correct it back. Sorry.
Yeah, but thank you so much for explaining, because this story really exemplifies what it really means to have awareness, and that there is this neutral state. And it's okay to be a little bit angry about ourselves, but it's the point where, or the speed of catching ourselves. Say, listen, just one moment, take it all in, lean back and relax in this turmoil, and then see it in a more neutral, balanced way. Thank you so much.
So connecting that back to personal brand.
Personal branding, yeah. How can we take control?
So how can we take control? The taking control in this particular sense is to become aware of what is it that I think about myself, and what is it that I take on from other people, and try to split that. So you can even make a list, right? You just
Mhm.
draw a line over the middle of the page, and then so I did this in the beginning a lot. This is a good exercise for the listeners as well. I did this a lot in the beginning just to become aware of what is actually true and what is just a thought. I drew a line on a piece of paper and I wrote down me and other people. And then you can hear that a lot of times when there's things that you think to yourself, that you very often sort of copy those thoughts from somebody else, and they're actually not yours.
Mm.
So tying that back into the whole personal brand, if you become aware of what you what you take on as an expectation, um, and what you made part of your identity because other people told you that you are like that, then you can also split and you can say, okay, I would like to influence that part that I don't like. Let's say somebody told you that you are, let's say this one, you are always so quiet. And so people that take that on as their identity, the people have told them that since they were little. And by now, they don't really feel like being quiet, but they're always the quiet ones. So they are complying with that image of always being the quiet one. So you're at a party and well, you're being introduced. Well, he's always a little bit shy or he's always a little bit quiet.
Mhm.
And then you're standing there and are you? Or were you actually just about to talk when somebody said that? And did you think, oh, let me pull back those words because I'm the shy one? Now, once you become aware of how which components you have that are put on you by others, you can say, hey, do I still want to keep this component? Do I want to be shy? Or do I really want to just say well, I used to be shy, but now I'm quite talkative. And now I make a lot of friends whenever I'm at a party.
Mhm.
You see that?
Yeah, and I think that what you're saying also leads to authenticity because the more you understand what parts are actually yours and what is not yours, makes you much more authentic. Because otherwise, you're taking on all what other people talk about you and what they see in you because they kind of brand you with their perception on you. And taking control means really understanding what is my part and really living that. That makes us authentic, isn't it?
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Authenticity is the way I see authenticity is we have certain values and ethics that we find important. And um, m- if you, so the clearer you are on those values and those ethics, the more you can choose for those values and those ethics. And then the more you can start talking in line with those ethics and values. And that makes you more authentic. That makes you be perceived as more authentic because you're doing you're basically doing what you're saying and you're saying what you're doing.
Hmm. And you're doing something because you have an overall vision. And that leads me to the next question. Because you also have an exercise that I have learned that helps us making this personal signature. And a personal signature is the mark that people live in this world. It's the legacy that we leave behind. So for me, it's having this overall vision, yeah, what I'm striving for. So can you provide us a glimpse of this exercise and how it helps us
Oh,
individuals translate this? Being authentic means also living by our core values and help to really translate those values into our business and therefore, because with authenticity, with living by our own values, we attract others like-minded people. So how does that all get together? The vision, the values, and attracting people.
so so yes, there's an exercise. I had to quickly look at my notes. I'm sorry. Oh, which exercise? I have a big toolbox, so I thought, oh, which exercise do I have for that? But I do indeed have an exercise, and I thank you about that. So you remember. So yes, indeed. So uh, I have a value exercise, and for whoever is listening and wants to do that exercise, send me a direct message on LinkedIn, and I will send you that exercise. It's basically an exercise to find your top three values, and it's very simple. It's very easy, but it's also very effective. Right? Big changes often um, don't need the big changes for big results don't need big changes. Sorry, lost my words there. So yes. So once you have those three, you can start translating those into your business and into your communication. Um, and I do believe that like attracts like. I mean, and it's very easy. If one of my values would be, oh, that's a well, let me take one of my values is joy and living joyfully. I attract people that like to live joyfully, right? I would say, but doesn't everybody want that? And that's actually no. Some people are are happy to for this life stage that they're in to put their joy on a back burner for a while because they have other values that they value more. So it's not like they don't value joy; they do, but they have a different top three. And joy might come on place number four. And so they will act in their top three. So they might not necessarily be attracted to what I do, let's say. So finding that top three is easy, well, more or less, um, and can be very valuable to find and attract like-minded people. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, super. So people should send you a message and then they can get in touch with you. Awesome.
Yes.
Beautiful. Um, yeah. And I mean, we all talk about staying true to ourselves and authenticity is key. Um, sure it is. But how can we, as entrepreneurs, living by our values, striving for our vision, and leaving that legacy, strike a balance between staying true to ourselves, yes, but there's also, changes in the environment, socioeconomical changes, industry changes, the competitive landscape is changing, people behavior is changing. How can we balance that? And um, in the pursuit of building a business, because we need to or get to compete. We are not the only one in this world offering such a service. So, what is your idea, your stand on that?
So so I believe that we live in a world of abundance,
Mhm.
um, and that we're not really each other's competition. We are, some people are, but are we truly each other's competition? I mean, people that choose my service, they get attracted to not only my values, but the way that I set up my business, the way that I communicate. It's the entire being, right? That's it's not just the product for whoever makes a product as well. It's not just the product. I mean, if you look at if you have a choice between buying a product from a big smiley face, uh, how do you say that? Online shop. Let me put it like that. I'm not sure if I'm
Yes.
supposed to name, if I'm supposed to name the company. Yeah. And you have another online shop that you've never heard of, that has a brand that you, because I mean, let's be honest, this is a branding thing. Everybody knows
Yeah.
that when I say they have boxes with the smiley face on it, everybody knows who I'm talking about. I don't need to name the company. Amazing branding. I love that.
Mhm.
Compared to somebody that you don't know, that a shop that you don't know that offers exactly the same product for the same price. Which one would you choose? You would choose the one that you already know, that you know has a certain, that you have been in contact with, that you have heard about. Now, that's the same thing. You would choose something because your preference goes there. Now, on the other hand, that would be maybe you, maybe me. Then there is, of course, a group of people that says, well, no, actually, I am choosing not to buy anything from the smiley face big giant because I feel local and smaller shops should be supported, even if they're online. Now, so both have a good branding, both have a good, not a personal brand in this case, but a good brand. And depending on the type of person that is looking for that product, they will either buy it at one shop and buy it at the other. So they are each other's competition, yes. But are they truly each other's competition? No. As long as you can make that difference distinct enough, you will be able to separate yourself from your competition. And so that's, again, I think where the values and the authenticity comes in. But that's also um, where talking about all those values comes in. So it's not enough to just have those values and put them in a little bit of text.
Yeah.
You need to talk about your values. You need to talk about what you believe in, because that's what makes people choose you over somebody else. Um, that and I think being specific in what you do is also very important. I think
Yeah.
um, yeah, being specific
Yeah.
about what you do is important.
Yeah, and I think that it's especially hard for those who really are suffering from self-doubt, or, they are not as confident as they're supposed to be, and suffer from anxiety. And for those, it's really hard to stay true to themselves, even though, when you are in the trenches, because you are not seeing the end of the tunnel in that very moment. So I think it's so much more difficult for people in that state, coming from these limiting beliefs, to stay true to yourself in this, somehow we all say, competitive landscape, which actually is not, because there's a lot of abundance out there. So I think we need to reframe our thoughts in order to really go through that.
Hmm. I agree. So one reframe that I give people is that realize that there's, what is it, 8 billion people in this world, and then boil it down to how many people do you actually need to buy your product? How many people do you actually need to have a life? So if you look at those 8 billion people, that's your pool, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
then and that's your pool of of all your clients, potential clients.
Mhm,
And then if you if you look at that, and let's say you need 10 clients a month to be successful, then there is so many people out there. And I also believe that when you have your values well stated and you understand them well, that you will be found.
Yeah.
I recently gave somebody an example of this, and saying, if you have a, a good headset and it works fantastic, and you are you are on your computer and you have that banner in the on the side, and it all these headsets pass on that banner. You have a good headset, so you don't even look at the banner, and you just scroll and you just look at the web page where you're supposed to be on. But let's say your headset broke, and it broke yesterday, and you go to the same website, the same banners go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, and you have seen those banners for months and you didn't touch them. And today you see those banners again and you think, oh, headset, I need a new one. Let me click it. So your dream client and your dream clients, they are already looking for you. but you do need to tell them what they can find when they find you.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for these empowering words. We all need that. Thank you, Carolina. Now, I want to switch gears. I want to come back to your brand, to your logo, because there is a meaningful story behind. It's all about creating your logo, and we want to know that. So, how did you come about? I mean, your company is Carolina Coaching. So, tell us about your logo.
So my logo, so I got my logo in a little bit of an odd way. So I felt that my logo, besides from saying it needed to be a symbol for me.
Mhm.
Um, because besides from saying something, I wanted it to be a language. You know that sometimes languages have one symbol that has a whole meaning behind the symbol.
Mhm.
That's where my logo. So my logo comes from the Zebu language, and the Zebu language is considered for some people considered a spiritual language. Some people call it even the language of the angels. And so there's a series of symbols in that language. I don't call it the language of the angels, by the way. I'm just quoting the internet. Um, I just wanted it to be a language, and the way, the elegance of the symbol, um, it was for me was key. And the symbol of my logo means inner peace,
Mm.
which is for me, of course, I work with inner peace, and I work with people having inner peace. So for me, that was ideal. So I chose that one by with family constellations, one of my methods. And so I had all these symbols. I printed them all on a little piece of paper. And what I did is I put that little piece of paper under a placemat. And I just dumped it all over my living room. I had all these spots, and I didn't know which note was under which. And I had one favorite that I actually put under there twice. I love that one. It's so pretty. Um, that's not my logo at the moment. And I just decided, you know what? Let the universe tell me what the best logo for my business is. So, and then what I did is, so family constellations is a way of feeling how your body responds to certain spots. So I stood on placement number one, and I immediately felt a little bit of heaviness on my shoulders. And I thought, my body didn't respond very well to this one. And then placement number two. And so I did I think it was 8 or 9 of them. And when I stood on the placement where my logo was under, I had this, when you get this butter, when you drive in your car and you drive over a sudden hook, and that your stomach does whoop. And I stood on that, and my stomach did whoop. And I thought, oh, this is a nice feeling. Let
This
me
is a
This must be one of the things that I wanted to choose. And so after having done that, was the only one that really gave me this exciting feeling. So I turned it around and looked. I thought, oh, is it that one? Really? Until I found that, and this is like weeks have gone by, and I didn't know really what to do with it. I didn't really like it. And then at some point I said, okay, listen, you have to trust that you've got the right guidance. So trust that you have the right guidance and start working on that logo. So I started working on that logo. I started putting the colors in. And then I suddenly realized that, so my company name is Coaching by Carolina, and there is a C in there, and then it goes into a B, and then it scrolls into another C. So I never expected that, but that was how it came out. It took me a while to know it, and so since then I still have that logo. And I still love it. Now I love it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, because there is so much meaning in a logo, and it's part of your brain story. So
Yes.
I like it. Thank you so much. Carolina, we are almost at the end, but I want to do, yes, time was flying by. Maybe we should do another one. Yeah. So before we finish up, I want to do a quick word wrap with you. Are you ready to give me an answer to a word I throw out? Especially several words. Okay, ready?
I have to be creative and nervous at the same time. That's okay. That's not my best, but I will try.
Just trust that you will find the right one. Whatever is top of mind is the right one. Growth mindset.
Staying open to new possibilities.
Confidence.
Feeling in your core that you are enough.
Entrepreneurship.
A roller coaster of amazing moments.
Yeah. All sorts of. Subconscious.
That part of our system that tries to tell us the things that we try to ignore.
Wow. And brains. What do they mean to you?
The entryway to fully expressing who you are on the inside to the rest of the world.
I love it. Thank you so much. Carolina, where can people find you? Because there's a lot of people that want to get in touch with you.
So where can people find me? So I'm on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/Carolina Bakker. I'm also on YouTube with Coaching by Carolina. And people can, of course, always email me on info@coachingbycarolina.com. And then I or one of the people of my team, we are 7 now, will pick up.
All right. I will put everything into the show notes. Carolina, thank you so much for being my guest on BrandsTalk. Yeah, and share with us how we can escape the rat race and navigate the path to personal branding success, leaving anxiety and self-doubt behind.
Thank you very much. This was so much fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you like my show, follow BrandsTalk on your preferred app, share it on social media, and if you find a minute or two, leave a quick rating or review. Thank you so much. If you want me to guide you to become a future market leader by transforming your ambitions and passion into an online brand that radiates beauty, brilliance, and authenticity, attracting the clients and recognition you deserve, drop me an email. I'd love to be your guide on your hero journey. Check out my website, bridgetbrands.com. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I hope you will stay tuned in on the next episode when we dive into the world of brands.